Good evening.
Hey, welcome to the MuseCast. We made it to episode 51. Now we crossed the threshold. Last week's episode made it to episode 50, if you couldn't tell by the title and you missed that one. We unveiled all kinds of information about chapter 3 of Cue the Muses being complete, or near completion. Actually, that's the announcement in this episode. It is complete. Now we'll talk about that a little bit later. And there's all kinds of release plans in that. We're executing like the release of it a bit different than we did in the past and stuff. But before we get into all the other fun topics, because I want to talk about like music copyright stuff, we want to talk about this Linkin Park vocalist, we want to talk about some music stuff in general, some copyright things that are going crazy in the music world. The first thing I wanted to bring up is that Bon Jovi saved a life. Did you hear about this?
No,
To, like
Bon Jovi saved someone.
He saved someone. So I don't know what he was doing. I haven't actually, I guess I could have researched this way more. I literally only saw the video of him on the bridge with like a couple of guys following him with cameras. So I don't know if he was out there like filming a music video or something. Obviously, more information. People are
You
going to
know,
already know more
maybe
information than I'm.
maybe Bon Jovi just 100% always has guys behind him on cameras.
I mean, I was thinking it's the paparazzi constantly following him. There's a lady on the opposite side of the rail of the bridge, and there's a
A jumper,
camera. I'm sorry.
a jumper,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah. Apparently so. So the footage that's out right now is the bridge camera, the camera that's always on the bridge.
yeah,
And
surveillance.
it's silent, and you
Yeah.
can see him walk over, and it turns out that it was Bon Jovi. So you imagine
Oh my
you're
god.
thinking of committing suicide and jumping off a bridge, and it looks like probably a middle-aged woman. So she's got to be a
Oh
middle-aged
gosh.
white woman. She's got to be
She,
a Bon
she
Jovi
turned.
fan.
She's thinking about jumping, and I can imagine it. She turns, and in slow motion with the wind in his hair, you hear down down
I
down.
mean, this is what I wanted to
Don't
talk
do it.
about. Like, imagine you're thinking about committing suicide, okay? I mean, not to make light of that at all,
No,
but
no,
you're on
no.
the bridge and you look over and somebody just said, apparently he said some line like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like something like that. You look over and it's Bon Jovi, right?
Yeah.
And
Hold
you're
on.
right, the wind probably blowing through his
What
hair on the bridge.
what's the universe trying to tell me right now?
Dude,
In your darkest hour, all hope is gone. You turn around and Bon Jovi just like uh,
and a minute or two later, he's helping her. She's holding on to him, and there's other people with
he
them that
talked
he
her off
talked
the
her
ledge.
off. She was just
No way.
getting back on, and who knows. But so he saved a life today or yesterday, and I was just thinking, like, one, how crazy that specific experience would be, but
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy, like if you think about the power, not like a power trip or anything. I'm just saying like the impact that you have on people if you're an artist that's made it to that level across the world.
Yeah.
You literally have the ability that like if you just walk up in a situation, you can literally shift somebody's life over. I mean, I was thinking I would fall for the same thing. I mean, not fall, that's a bad term. But if I was on the bridge
You
and
wouldn't jump if
somebody,
Bon Jovi came up to you. I
I
mean, I
mean,
would
hell, it could have been Bon Jovi and I still would have not killed myself.
at, at
But
some level.
imagine if it was somebody I liked a lot, like as an artist.
Well, well,
Not that he's bad, but it's just I
imagine
don't
the
follow his.
potential embarrassment. You're okay. You're all good. Now, this might get a little dark. Okay, say you're all good with jumping. You're good by
Yeah,
yourself. You're good. Nobody's watching, strangers around. Bon Jovi is, in a sense, a stranger, but he's also not a stranger because you
yeah,
know him. And
yeah.
now there's a sense of, oh, do I really want to do this in front of Bon Jovi?
Dude,
Or
I mean,
whoever it could have been, but that's amazing. It's
absolutely.
amazing
It
news.
is kind of amazing. I mean,
That's the
imagine
best
if
news I've
Jackie,
heard all week.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's really cool, but I'm just thinking like it could have been kind of any random famous person. I mean, it could have been like, what if the guitar player from Mastodon happened to walk up to you like on the bridge? And that's what you look over and see. And it's like, and you're like, oh my God, is that? And then you're not
Depending on
jumping.
depending on which one, that could be two very different experiences. You know,
Oh, really?
if Bill comes up, he'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing, man? Oh, that's not
Yeah.
cool. Come on inside." And if B. Hines walks in, it's like, what's going on? He's like a country weird boomhauer guy.
But you still wouldn't jump.
There's no
You know
way.
what I mean? Like
Absolutely
it'd
no
make
way.
such an impact, wouldn't it?
What if like it was what's the Slater from Saved by the Bell? That guy Mario. What's his name?
Lopez,
Yeah,
right? Isn't it Mario Lopez?
Mario Lopez walks up. You're not gonna
Dude,
jump. He's gonna
you're
talk you
right.
off.
It could even be Mario Lopez. And I would be like, totally rethink what I'm doing. Right?
Hold on. No. Can I talk? Like, hey, can I talk to you?
Like, well, yeah. What I mean, is this God? What's going on here? You know, is God talking through some famous actor that I mean, seriously, like that's a pretty cool thing
That
that
is.
you're enabled to be able to do if you're somebody that's made an impact on people in that way with your art. You know,
Man,
but again, not even that. You're right. Mario Lopez from Saved by the Bell. I would I would not. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I'm not the one that's in a situation where I'm thinking of doing such an intense thing. But nonetheless, that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's
Get
like,
famous and save a life.
where did you see it at? Where'd you see the story? Was it on social
It's
media?
all over the internet. You know, it just popped up on YouTube, and you know, I'm always like trying to keep my eye out for something big happening with music, just so you know, relevant for our podcast
Yeah.
topics.
I
That was
actually,
what was today, but you got a great one to bring up here at the bottom of your name too.
well, this was actually why I laid off social media for the majority of this week. I
Really?
had a different experience. I just got sick of all the. Now I could probably just unfollow these things, but it started with what I thought was a joke with this Linkin Park thing, and it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. There's a bunch of opinions on there, but weirdly, to back it up a little bit, the first time I heard was a different vocalist, and it was through a mutual friend of ours. You know him. His name is Joe Taylor, and
Yeah.
he messaged a group that I'm in with the guys in Defy the Tyrant, and he said, Linkin Park new vocalist, but he said he said, "Oh my God, it's Bobby." I said, "Bobby." He said, "Bobby Amaru." I was like, "Bobby Amaru," and I was like, "That's the guy that sings for Saliva." Post Josie Scott, you know the band Saliva, the click click
Yeah.
boom.
I'm not a
So
fan, but
they
yeah.
were but they replaced the original singer with this guy from Jacksonville named Bobby. And he's a cool guy. Ironically,
Oh, okay.
now not to take this in too far in the weeds, but ironically, we just talked about the story Bon Jovi, random celebrity saves a life.
Yeah.
The guy Bobby Amaru that I'm talking about, nothing to do with Linkin Park because he is not the Linkin Park vocalist. I don't know where
Right.
Joe got that information, but it was bad.
Yeah, I'm like still
He was
playing
like,
catch up
"It's
on what
Bobby." He
that
was
is.
like, "It's Bobby." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Cool," because I actually met Bobby randomly and gave him a ride at
Really?
Rockville. Yeah, at Rockville
This last year?
2021, a couple
Okay.
years back. The year that Defy the Tyrant played, I was driving to the back, and this guy's walking. He said, "Hey, dude." I was like, "Hey, what's up?" He said, "Man, are you going back there in the back?" I was like, Yeah, back where the band." He's like, "Can you give me a ride? I got to get back in there, man. My bus is back there." I was like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Bobby." I was like, "Oh, cool." I didn't even like know who he was, but I found out when I dropped him off that he's the vocalist for Saliva. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
weird. You found out
cool."
after the fact.
Yeah, neato. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a segue. The Linkin Park thing
Okay.
everybody's talking about aggravated me so much, not because of who it was. I really didn't care. The only thing I brought up was they released this single with, and I'm terrible. I don't remember the girl's name, but she was the vocalist for a band called Dead Sarah, which I'm vaguely familiar with and I like. Um, and I was like, I don't want to process this thoroughly right now. You know, this huge Linkin Park replaced Chester Bennington, huge,
Yeah.
like absolutely milestone giant. And I was like, I'm not going to process this right now. I'm not going to judge the song. I listened to like a little piece of it. I didn't have time. I just like pulled it up, on my phone, and I just got a tone for her voice. I was like, she sounds good. Like, okay, sounds cool. I'm not going to listen to it right now. And then I just kind of sat back and watched, and I read a little bit. And what I read was the drummer is not the original drummer. So they got
Right.
everybody got on board minus the drummer. And I kind of there's a couple posts some friends of mine were doing, and I commented on one, and I got like a lot of flack for it. But this comment I made, I was like, the only red flag I see was I want to know why the drummer didn't want to come back. I said, because when it
Hmm.
comes to replacing someone in the band, sometimes it's all or nothing. You know, like
Uh-huh.
you shouldn't continue if not everyone in the original group is okay with it. And
Yeah.
boy, I got some flack for that. Somebody jumped off. It was like a friend of a friend of a friend who I don't know, and they were like, you can replace a drummer. Bands do it all the time, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, but it's Linkin Park, and Linkin Park
Yeah,
was
it's
like
different if it's
always,
original members. Like it's different if the drummer's already changed, in my opinion. If the
yeah,
drummer's already changed in the band before or a member's already changed out before, then definitely questionable. But if it's still a founding member of the band, I agree with you.
yeah. It got me thinking really deep about bands who had done that,
Yeah.
and some groups that I know have done it, and I thought about groups that I'm in. And one group that I'm in just recently changed a drummer, but it was for positive reasons. The old drummer from Defy the Tyrant didn't want to play in the band anymore, and they replaced him with the old drummer, Dennis Tipton, and he's great, and everybody's happy. On the other hand, like with Dave's Last Night, another group that I'm in, there's no way it would be Dave's Last Night if we had to replace John. There's no way. It
Yeah.
wouldn't it
Yeah.
wouldn't it wouldn't be the same band.
Right.
And yeah, it's complex,
He
but
even built a whole song around his drum
yeah.
idea, a drum song he had.
Yeah, he just had drum solos. We're in the studio.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this song. Can we track it? Yeah, do it. Bam.
Yeah.
2.5 minutes. Okay. What are we gonna do now? Well, now we're gonna write it. It's tracked, and that's what we did. It's amazing. I love it. One of my
And
favorite ones.
he's the drummer from Fighting Giants. So you've got
He's,
like this
yeah, he's drummer from Fighting
history.
Giants, from Inside the Nine back in the day. He drummed for, oh, I don't even want to list all the bands.
But the
Six,
bands that you've been in, like this is a long running,
yeah, yeah,
friend.
15 years or so. But now,
Hmm.
so back to the Linkin Park thing, it was all over the internet, and then there was another headline popped up: guitar player leaves the band over the singer, I guess.
Oh, did that happen? I missed
And
that.
everyone, now this, it gets so dumb. It's about to get real dumb, because this is where I like just stopped. It was okay. The guitar player is leaving the band. All right, the female vocalist is getting flack, but everybody's praising her. Then all of a sudden, there's this crap with Scientology and Danny Masterson. You know who he is?
Yeah, from I've seen, yeah, 70s show.
From
I'm
that
familiar with him.
70s show. Yeah. So
Who
that
was canceled
canceled.
and went to court, right? For what?
I'm guessing
Can't remember
convicted.
what.
I'm
I
terrible.
think
I don't
so.
know.
I'm pretty
I
sure he actually was convicted of
Yeah,
some sexual thing,
I
but I don't remember what it was.
what they're saying, what these lines online are saying, is that it's a very bad charge, and that the vocalist, the female, I can't remember her name, I'm awful.
This
But
is bad.
she was there,
Come here first
and
for your news on.
yeah, but she was there like supporting him at the thing, and then everybody blew up,
Oh,
and I'm just like, this is so dumb. Come on. Like, I'm not siding with any of it, plus or minus. I don't even know the story. I don't even know the vocalist's name. All I'm saying is that it's dumb, and I feel like it was a dumb decision for the group to do it. I don't think it was executed right. Unfortunately, I'm not criticizing them for it. I just don't know, and I don't like it. But I still haven't even listened to the song.
oh, you
I
haven't?
still have not even listened.
Okay.
I got
Well,
so
let me
fed up.
chime in here. I mean, we obviously are talking about it, so now we got to dig in a little bit. I
Yeah,
don't know a lot of the details, and I haven't really listened to Linkin Park since their first couple albums. I mean, not much. Now, I'm familiar with the songs that hit the radio,
yeah.
and I
A
checked
lot of
out their albums like once through here and there. I'm not the biggest Linkin Park fan, so this is kind of reminds me a little bit of like my opinion on certain comic movies where people know the comic books really well and are very territorial about when the directors
oh,
take it in
sure.
different directions. It
Like I
kind of
like
reminds me of that.
like I was with Fox's X-Men movies.
Right,
The
exactly.
first couple,
So,
yeah.
and for me, it's like I've got no stake in the game. I'm just kind of taking in what is new art, right? Like whatever the presentation is, this is all I know about it. And so,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I'm just pointing out I don't have a preconceived notion of what it needs to be. Even though I did definitely go through a Linkin Park phase when they first came out for that
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
5 years, definitely I don't know. It is to me whatever. I'm not even going to label. Look, I think that she sounds good. I've listened to the whole song and I checked out like some of a live performance that they did. I
Mhm.
think she sounds great. My initial opinion is, uh, if the guitar player left too, that really takes it to another level, in my opinion. I think the band that did it the best and I know it wasn't from a suicide, but was Audioslave. Now that had all the members of Rage Against the Machine in it, right? And then they just threw in Chris Cornell, but they did not call themselves Rage Against the Machine. They
Oh,
went
no,
as
yeah, no,
Audioslave.
it was a whole other it was crazy how different that was from,
Well,
like
and that's the thing is different, and I think that's the best way to do it. So you
yeah.
have this bulk of musicians that's from one group, and now if I heard that all the musicians or most of the musicians from Linkin Park had a new band with a vocalist, they're called blank. You know, use a different name.
Yeah,
All
there
this goes away.
it's
Like the
not
whole thing goes away,
yeah, all of it does. I mean,
right?
it can still have Mr. Hahn, it can still have, Mike Shinoda, and that's the Linkin Park sound, and I agree that was my stance on it. I was like, "M maybe they shouldn't have called it Linkin Park." That name, Linkin Park, is not one that's gonna be obscured, and an interesting kinda sidebar that could come from that is there's a lot of groups that I find that are, like, members of bands that I really, really, really like, that are in other projects that I have absolutely no idea, and it's 10
Mm.
years old. 10
Uh-huh.
years 10 years old. Like, last year, I found out about a band called, oh, fuck. It's Troy Van Leeuwen on guitar,
Mm.
and it's Troy Sanders from Mastodon on vocals, and it's a band. I think it's called Gone Is Gone, and it's
Uh-huh.
a whole album that they did together,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
experimental. It's weird. It's like it's cool, but it's like, I shoulda known about that when it came out 10 years ago, but
You
it's
should have.
hard to label, like, it's hard
It can
promote
be,
that.
but Linkin Park, and I like Mastodon more than Linkin Park, but Mastodon is not the disc selling level, the world popularity
No,
that Linkin Park is, right? Like
no, not at
that's
all.
where it's like, and so if Linkin Park had reformed under a different name with a couple of new members, including a new singer to team up with, I mean, come on, like it's not like they kicked out Chester,
No.
right? That
It was
it's very unfortunate how it worked out, but that wasn't even their decision, and we don't, like that. We can't. You're not allowed to play together again and write new music. No, it's all good. But to go as Linkin Park, this is weird, and it does seem like she's trying to emulate what Chester brought to the table, and that I also think is
well,
like a
it's
bit of a
so
mistake, even though
it's
it sounds good.
it's so tough because, one, it's very Chester has a style that's very difficult for people to do well.
Mm,
He did one thing, and I'm not calling him a one-trick pony, but the one thing that unanimously everybody I know that talks about Chester says they like, even back when Linkin Park was brand new, I was dating some dumb hippie girl who didn't like the heavy music I like, but she did say, "I like the way that guy screams."
hmm
I like the way he screams. I don't like the other screams, but I like the way he screams.
Right.
And that is that connection that he had. And someone recently told me, it was Matthew. We had him on the podcast,
Uh
my
huh.
buddy down here.
Yeah.
Matthew said that Chester had a way of screaming in key, is the way he described it. And I
Yeah.
said, that's accurate. He did. It was still singing, but it was screaming. And I
That's
kind of
the
like,
thing.
it's like a
Yeah.
vocal compression thing. But, you know, I don't know. The way they did it with that much on the line coming out and then having that much get derailed so fast, it seems like, and I don't even know.
Well,
Like I
is
said,
that what I mean?
I don't know. I just it's
I think.
social
Look,
media. I was like, you know what? I'm not watching this. I'm
I
not looking at
think
this
they're
anymore.
going to be just fine. I think that there's going to be people. They're going to still be selling out shows left and right. I think they offended some people that were territorial. Anything that has a long legacy, when you put something new to it, it always has the people that are territorial about it,
Yeah.
including the car videos I make. These are for Trans Am Worldwide. They're bringing back the Trans Am. They're bringing back the Chevelle. People are like, no, you can't do that. And then,
You
but
can if you do it right.
But even that's the thing, by wide and large, the ratio of people that give it thumbs up. I mean, we're talking about like
Yeah.
we average like 3%, 3 to 4% of the millions of plays have negative things to say. Put thumbs down,
Yeah.
which is like so small, but they're going to exist every time. Those people have loud voices and they're very vocal about things. And, I mean, that look, if you have a problem with it, I get why you'd have a problem with it. I do think I said what I think. I think that they should have just gone as a different name. Then you wouldn't even have to compare it. And
Right.
if it sounds somewhat like Linkin Park, yeah, it's like got members from Linkin Park, but that's their sound. They get to do that. That's what they do. But they're not, look, they gave it respect and they changed the name. But them keeping the name, that was a big gamble. I don't think that keeping the name was worth it. I mean, they
With
would sell out arenas anyway if they went as a different name, just
I,
like Audioslave did
I
immediately upon release with backing to get the exposure so
yeah,
people know what it is.
I think so, man. I think the play should have been, if they had every original member and a new singer, then the Linkin Park name should have been on the table. But since they couldn't, or didn't get all the original members weren't on board to do it, then should have done another one.
I should just do a different name. Now, this might be the first episode that we get people that comment with some shit talking. I don't
I
know.
hope so.
We
I don't
might
know.
actually piss some
I'm
people off with that
well
conclusion. Sorry, guys. That's what I
yeah, but
think.
back to my point about it. I just got fed up with seeing the whole thing. It's like, man,
Yeah.
like it, don't like it. They're just doing music. That's cool.
Yeah.
New music is awesome. And I got tired of seeing all the crap on it. And then I saw a headline that said Dave Grohl is having an illegitimate child because he cheated on his wife. And I said, that's it.
Oh,
I'm done. I'm done with the internet.
damn.
I'm done with social media for the week. I'm not getting on. I've got on like twice and like two things. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, man. This is
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
news. I don't like
Well,
bad
it's
news.
also presidential debate week happened and stuff, and that's got all. We're not going into it. My point is just that there's
Yeah.
all kinds of shit talking going on in every direction right now
And
online.
football season's back in swing.
It's all out war out there.
Everybody,
You know what everyone needs to bring them together is a
Well, cue the
third
music.
chapter of Cue the Muses.
Exactly.
An example of people coming together to fight what the real enemy is, which is an evil AI that's taken over the world's creativity by implementing an algorithmic song that it generated, which we know is now happening. We predicted the future. We should call our show Nostradamus.
I have been brainwashed multiple times by the AI song "I Stink."
I haven't heard this one. Is this what's trending?
It's Kyron sent it to me. It is an AI song that a guy at least wrote. He wrote the lyrics and he punched the lyrics in and said, "Make a song in a Russian waltz."
Oh,
or
right.
something.
You
Yeah,
sent that to me.
yeah. I stink. I stink.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's somehow intoxicating, but yeah.
Yeah,
Cue the
the
music
AI's
is
gotten some
anti.
moves.
Anti.
Yeah, we're anti that.
We're anti.
Although I liked the idea that we had loosely in our second season of maybe half the album being written by Harmonia and then the other half. That way we're battling each other and we have to write different types of material, but really we're writing all the music. But one of the songs was actually legitimately written by AI, but we'll perform it. And then you have to guess which one was written by AI by polls. I think that it sounds really engaging and fun. I just hate the idea of making a music video, putting that much time into a music video that was
For
written
an
by an
AI.
AI
AI
program.
song.
It'd be like, it's that one because that video sucks. You
Yeah, hold
obviously
on.
just did one
I
angle.
got a clue. I got a clue which one's the AI song.
The shittiest video will be the one of the AI.
It looks like the I want my MTV video. You remember the old
Yeah,
CGI versions of stuff?
I love that stuff though.
Yeah, that's great.
That kind of harkens back to a little bit of something I'm interested in chapter 4, which isn't going to be edited till next year. I want to no, I can't say that on here. But I'm worried, like I want to establish with our current with all the people involved in the MuseCast that are actors and stuff. I need to tell some people that, certain things are not in this episode yet, that they're happening in chapter 4, in particular through, like I feel bad, like I wanted to include more, but the end point that I chose makes the most sense, and we needed more story stuff for episode 4, and it makes a lot more sense to have it in the
Well,
next and final episode
yeah, because weren't you telling me that
chapter.
chapter 3 was the most story? It's the most story heavy episode at one point, wasn't it?
No, I just think it's not. It's not. I so far I almost want to say I don't know how. You know what? I haven't gotten to rewatch 1 and 2 and then get make it to 3, so I can't really. It's actually been a while since I watched the first couple
Mm-hmm.
in their entirety, start to finish.
Same
And
with me. Yeah.
right, and I'd like to see that and see how it all flows together. But here is the update. Look, the third one I chose to end it where it ends because I think it moves at a certain pace, and I didn't. The momentum felt right for it to end where it does. It definitely has story in it, just
Yeah.
like the other episodes. But I wouldn't say it has more story per se. But it actually came in a few minutes shorter than the first 2 episodes. But again, it just kind of made sense, and it actually has the shortest song, which is
Well,
still
about to say the song's
8
a little
minutes.
little shorter. Yeah.
Yeah, I
By
mean,
a
there's a couple of
minute.
minutes right there, you know.
Yeah.
The other episodes are like 30 minutes. This one's like right at around 26. That's what it came in at. So,
Okay.
look, a couple minutes less story and a couple minutes shorter song, and there you are, you're at 26. And it feels right and it's exciting and it leaves off where I'm like, I want to see what's next. So I watched it for the first time last night. I put it all together, I assembled it, which is an effort in itself because you kind of build it in chunks and export those chunks. And so over the year, I made all
Yeah.
the individual chunks. You know, the music video is one chunk. You put it all together, and then you got to get it to all match because it was all done at different times and different projects. And you got to get the sound to go right. Sometimes you got to shift colors a little bit, all little tweaks. And then you
Mhm.
got to get those things to sandwich together correctly. So you got to figure out how it transitions together. You got to redo some of the backing sound so it kind of flows in. Anyway, I got it all assembled. That was like a, week long process actually. And I got to export the
It took you much less time to explain what it was.
and I watched it in the whole episode in like a single go last night, and it's a really I'm really excited about it. It's a really fun episode. It's such a fun episode. It's just so fun that we made it. Like it's just so neat that it
I
reminded
dare,
me, we
I
have a
dare.
show. It's fun.
Yeah. I dare say I had more fun filming the scripted stuff for this one,
Yeah.
probably than just about any of the other stuff that I mean, just like it, just in sheer like enjoyment of the
Yeah.
process and having fun. Other than maybe like early on when we were getting the set built up, that was a lot of fun. Working with
Yeah.
Michael, working with set, seeing him come like the pieces come to life, progress pictures with him working on like the helmet and the cadence capture and stuff, and then building the sets and things. That's really fun. But this one was different. I can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait for me to see it.
I know. Well, this is the thing. You and me after this podcast, we got to discuss when we
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
we
yeah.
can do a little viewing here. But what one thing I do want to point out, just some of what you're referencing still carries over into the last episode too. It's not like necessarily everything we did during that part of the shoot made it into just this one chapter. So it
Mm,
continues onward. Some of that
mm.
same session of filming is going to be in chapter 4. That's why I wanted to save it, because it's like it is so fun and it gets into this whole other territory. And so we have some really fun, like everything's going to come together in chapter 4. Not that you don't, you've by now, if you've watched the first 2 episodes and you watch this, you know most of what's going on. But obviously in chapter 4, we really kind of tie it all
Yeah,
together and bring in another element. And it's just, I think it keeps evolving and it makes it fun. And again, at the end of this was originally written as a movie. So they are all connected. And at the end, I do want to take all 4 chapters
to have
and try to put them together as a movie.
one masterpiece. I still
It'd be
think
so
I
cool.
still think that's a really cool idea.
I think that
Because
sounds really fun.
then it's we're doing it by the chapter, which is kind of an intentional thing, and also is kind of a circumstantial thing, right? It was like,
Yes, it's both.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
and bringing it back to the original idea and being able to watch it from front to back is just going to be cool.
And
I think it's gonna be cool.
our goal, guys, is if we can, which it's totally feasible, but if we got enough people together that said that they would come see it, if we put it in a theater screening, potentially at CMX for
Yeah.
an initial screening to release the chapter 4, and that's how we have a live event that is, let's go see it at the theater, and you'll see the first 3 chapters. There might be some slight touch-ups and revisions and everything to get it all to sandwich together, and it ends with the full fourth episode, which is going to be a monster of an episode. And just how fun, like, that sounds so fun. I can't not, like, that's totally a thing to like work towards. It keeps me going. I love the concept of that. That'd be so fun.
Yeah. I think it would be a great time
Yeah.
until people start walking out.
Man, I'll tell you,
I'm
that
not
would be
sitting
interesting.
through 40 minutes of this.
Everyone comes in an hour and a
bullshit.
half in. Yeah, I've seen the first 3. I don't want to sit through that crap again.
Yeah, can I just what time you playing the last one? I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah. So
In this
it'll
day
be
and
fun.
in this day and age, wait, you want me to listen to something twice?
I know that'd be disappointing. But it's completely possible. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people that just like listening to the music and don't care about the story. That's totally fine. The music, 100%, I think, is
I think it
supposed to
jams.
stand up on its own. It doesn't need the story. The story is just such a fun way to produce it and put it out. And if you did miss the last episode, one of the release announcements that we made about it is that previously we've always put out the chapter, and then maybe a month or 2 later put the song out as a standalone music video that you can then consume that way. Maybe more people will see that. This is the first time that we're actually releasing the music video first, so we're going to put out the music video sometime around mid-October, and then a couple of weeks after that, roughly 2 to 3 weeks after that, depending on when makes sense for us to be available online, we'll put out the full episode, and then you can see the story that leads into that music video, and you'll know what's going on more and why there might be some shots of certain things and all that. So I think this makes a lot of sense for people to get to experience the music. I think more people will get interested in Cue the Muses if they can just jump right into and hear some music and know what like, oh, it's like an actual band. It's not just a show. Because I have unfortunately talked to some people that they started watching the show and they wanted to get back to it, and they didn't even know that it was going to lead to a music video, which was pretty disappointing because I thought that was established in the trailer, but I don't even know if they saw the trailer. They might have just started to watch it because they knew we were in it, or I was in it if it was a personal friend. And then I've shown them, just jumped to the chase and shown them the music video, and like really impressed. And they're like, wait, this is what happens in the episode. And then they
This
go
is
back
the
and watch the
end?
episode.
Oh, I really want to watch that.
Right. And
Well,
so,
people are used to music videos. Music videos have been
yeah,
out for 40, 50, 60 years. I don't know, since music and video happened at the same time.
MTV really was the biggest start of that in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
late
Yeah.
80s, mid 80s.
Yeah, it sounds right. And there's the song came out, video killed a radio star,
Yeah.
and things change for music, whatever. But everybody knows what a music video is. Everybody watches music videos. I think I love music videos. They were my favorite part about television for a while until they stopped putting them on television. Thank goodness that YouTube's still here, because that's primarily
Mhm.
the only place that I think you can see music videos anymore. But I can see how somebody be off put a little bit if they're, oh cool, Dick and Ash made a show. What's this? It's kind of weird. What are they talking about? Uh, I gotta make dinner. I'll
Yeah.
watch y'all's show later. Like, I don't know. I'm not high enough for this or something.
Well, that could be it too, because it's definitely not the most intelligent humor,
Yeah.
but it sure is fun. And anyway, the people that
I
do
think so.
check it out and like it, that makes it worth it right there. Because the majority of people that know about Cue the Muses and said that they liked it have enjoyed the whole aspect of it. It's the people that don't even really know us that well. It's like, why are they going to check this out? You know how many shows I have on every streaming platform that I pay for monthly that are on my list that I've still not been able to check out, that everyone says are bangers, like, you have to see this and I want to see it. So to take the place of that is a pretty big ask on our part. So, but if this band came out and like, that music's good, like, I would be much more open to checking out. They made an an episode, like they have a mini series on it. Let me see what this is about.
I think you're a lot more inclined to like it if you're a musician, because
Yeah,
it's pretty much made for by musicians for musicians.
it is.
It's like, fighter guys have their like shows with tough
Yeah,
guy lead, feminists, activists have their shows with their strong
yeah,
female leads. Everybody's got something, and
yeah.
musicians need more, damn it. Rock
No,
musicians
well, especially rock
specifically.
musicians,
Specifically.
especially, yeah. And I
Yeah.
will say, just over the last few years that we've had this under production, there has been quite a steady growth of story elements that you're now have been seeing in music videos. I mean, there's a lot more rock videos now that have these longer and longer intros,
Yeah.
that have these more and more cinematic style, like movie style gimmicks going on where they're executing something and not. And
Yep.
that's interesting. That's interesting,
I love it
Again,
when it's something
Nostradamus.
I love it when it's something unique, just different,
Yeah.
like Red Fang videos.
Yeah.
I don't it's like
I
they
still
made a
got this
video.
cough.
Oh man, that sucks. They made it.
It's 6 weeks.
Red Fang made a video where the guys are all sitting on the couch. They're always drinking beer in their videos. Remember the Fighting Giants EP where all the beer, like that's I didn't even see a Red Fang video when we made that prior, but
Neither had I. I still
since
have.
I've
Yeah.
seen Red Fang videos in the last year, I love every one of them. Doesn't matter. They're all
Awesome.
like 3 out of the 4 guys in the band sitting on the couch chugging beer, and the beer cans are all over the house everywhere. And one guy comes in with a samurai sword, and they're like, "Where'd you get that sword? That's cool." He said, "Oh, the label sent us a check for the music video. I spent it all on this sword."
I love
And
it.
so
I love that. That's
the music
great.
video is just them cutting shit up with the sword,
See,
watermelons, 2
that's
liters. It's
great.
great. It's genius.
That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
love that. That's kind of, I mean, that's the kind of inspiration that I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
love silly shit like that, man.
And then they have setups like the band's playing in the house with all the beer cans everywhere, like the little
Yeah.
snip, but it's mostly the samurai sword stuff. It's like, okay, that's there's a place for the big $1 million shots
Yeah.
videos, and they're still out there, and there's some of them are still amazing, big super slow-mo headbang thing. But like you and I have talked before, a lot of these new videos that come out and it's one shot, looks great. I mean, I'm hooked for 30 seconds. I'm like, man, this looks good. And then 30 seconds go by, 40 seconds, I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of, how many times am I going to see this headbang slow-mo guitar guy on the rock with the
Right.
orange background?
Right. The same background. It's like, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, the reality of a lot of these higher production looks. It's like to produce that takes a lot of effort. It can be a whole day dedicated to one setup, one look, and then you cast, you film the band or individuals up there of the band. And that can take one full day. One full day is a lot of times the entire budget
Yeah.
of a music video when you're doing it with a label, because the rates that they're paying for that is astronomical compared to anything I've gotten to do for music video pay. And you end up with just this one kind of setup. If you get the second day, it's great, but that's most oftentimes not the case. And so, yeah, the video element of it can start to wear a little bit thin. For me, you know how it doesn't wear thin if it's just one setup like that? For me, it's in that case, I want to really see a lot more of the musicianship play out. So, like,
Yeah.
personally, I would want to cut away less. Like we did a lot of setups. This I say this, and this music video has probably the most cuts I've ever done in any single music video, the one that's coming out in our next episode, because I wanted it to be bombastic was my guiding light word that I wanted to do
I
for that.
have seen the music video,
Yeah.
guys, and it is bombastic.
It's bombastic. It's hard. You cannot catch everything. I'm going to say the complete opposite now, because if you had one setup for the band as a music video director, and a musician, I would want those scenes to play out longer so you could really absorb how talented the music is. Now, if the musicianship is, but if the song is super simple, then take back what I said, because that's not going to be entertaining enough. And now I'm not saying your song this is me talking as like a music video director. This is what I would talk
Mhm.
about with the band.
Yeah.
I am not discrediting a simple hook, like simple music that is just awesomely catchy and well done, but it's not the thing that you wouldn't want to just sit on the band as a single shot for that, because instrumentally it's just not blowing people's minds entertaining
Mhm.
enough. You do want to do more cuts to add more action to the simplicity of the song, you
It
know?
used to it and I'm gonna talk from a just from a fan viewer standpoint.
Yeah.
This is prior to any experience working with you, any of my own music video experience. Just my watching experience as a younger musician used to aggravate me when they would cut the shot so much. I'm like, I kind of want to see what Freddie's playing on. Like, wow, like it's just cut, 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 cut,
Which
cut.
is
Like every,
exactly,
I'm like,
that's our next
what?
video all the
What?
way.
And granted, I've seen our next video, and it's fun, and there's a lot
Yeah.
going on. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on, and it's not cuts just for the sake of putting cuts in there. It's they cut to different things. I'm like, there's been videos, I can't think of one in particular. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I've seen videos in the past that just cut, cut, cut in just a setup. You just keep cutting in
Right.
the same setup. And
Right.
it's like,
Here's the
man,
thing.
basses,
You're
guitar,
right.
bass, drums, 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 vocals, da 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 da. Like, what the f
Well,
is going on?
you brought up a good point in that a lot of times with those speed cut edits that I see done, you know, I'm going to get picky here or whatever. I don't want to
No,
sound arrogant, but
let's
I have to
dig in with it.
analyze
Come on.
this as a music
Yeah.
video, a guy that gets paid to make music videos. This is something I've acknowledged. You're bringing up an excellent point in that a lot of times the cuts don't even make sense that they cut where they cut, because it's cutting to something that doesn't, it's not even like you cut to cut on the beat, but you didn't cut to go to what you need to go to because that's the most important part that's happening in the song at the moment, instrumentally. That's how you should cut. You
Yeah.
want to cut to something that is the most in your face part of what's happening musically. And if everybody's doing something crazy intense at that very moment, then ideally you do your full band shot during that, because it's like you can't even choose, or you're going to cut a lot part for part going to each part so you can absorb like everyone's doing something insane right here, you know? But
Yeah.
there are music videos that literally just cut a lot to add energy in the edit. You know, I'm putting my fingers up like energy. And it
Epileptic
and it doesn't
energy.
even, it's like you're cutting to something, it's just a different angle of the same thing that wasn't
Yeah.
even that energetic to begin with, right?
Yeah. It never made it more exciting for me. It made it less cool and it made me want to watch November Rain again.
Mm,
November Rain, another great song,
yeah.
long song, and extra stuff in the music video, acted stuff, things going on, like scenes of that aren't them playing music, like stuff happening, a wedding scene and a funeral scene and all sorts of stuff. But a long and it big long shots in that video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's 19 like 91 or 92.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be extremely powerful to have long, you know, drawn out shots. And
Mhm.
it's just that, you know, I think the big thing is like you should come up with because a lot more people are making their own music videos. I feel like this is fun advice to hear. But you
Yeah.
should really think about, don't just plan that you want to do a certain style of edit. You come up with the edit that makes sense for the particular what the music is doing.
Mhm.
You know, I think sometimes it's like a band might really like, I love how they did this slow-mo thing for this video where it looks like they're in slow-mo, but it's playing in real time. Okay, like I've done that for videos.
You
Where
have
it
to
looks,
play really, really fast, right?
yeah, you got to play it at double speed. You make a double speed version of the song, and then you play to it, and
Yeah.
you record in a high frame rate, and then you slow it back down, and then it plays in time with the song, but it's slow-mo, but it's still going at pace. It's a very cool technique. And this is just one example. That is not the right look for particular songs. Like it's
Sure.
really got to be the right song to choose to do that, or a bombastic edit. You know, like you wouldn't just choose to do that for a slow R&B song, obviously, but there becomes more and more nuance where I'm making obvious examples, but you get down to, you start drilling down, it's like this seems like the right idea for this song, but you're nudging between this direction or that direction. and they're both could kind of work. And then you really got to think about not just what you want to do, but which one really benefits the song. And sometimes you might change that based on the footage that you come back with. Because what you can't
Mhm.
control is you film the band, they may not have the energy that you were expecting them to have, or vice versa. They were way more energetic than you thought. They were all over the place. You had to remap how you shot it because they were moving around so much. You didn't want to kill the energy. So now you're filming it different than you planned. Now you got to edit it different than you planned. You know, so you got to be sensitive to all those things.
Flying by the seat of your pants with guys
Yeah.
who just trying to have fun making me, because it's weird. Directing a music video has got to be different. It's got to be totally different from directing like a scripted, acted thing. And I've worked with you on both, and from both sides, I've helped you from the film standpoint of filming people performing. And I've also been the performer being filmed. My recollection of being the performer being filmed is that you didn't really, it wasn't like you weren't trying to tell us to perform a certain way. It was like perform. And we all like, I just took it, I did too much. I hurt my feet. I jumped too much on the concrete and I injured my feet that day or whatever, but worth it. It was fun. And it was, but
Worth it.
it's like, it's a different thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of like you got to be by the seat of your pants because like you can't be creative with creative types of people and sorry, you can't be helpfully creative. You can't inspire them to be creative by telling them you really need to perform it like this because I I have this in mind for the, like
You're
the directing part has to be different for performing musicians.
that's the way I approach it because the first thing I want to do is see how they perform it. So I usually start off with a wider angle.
Hmm.
I make sure the set, whether it's just a general setup or it's an actual set that we've designed,
Yeah.
I want to see all that happen in a wide lens first. I call that almost like it's kind of like the fail-safe shot. And by doing that, one, I can analyze the environment as a whole. We can make changes if we need to. But I also want to see in its entirety how the performer is performing and then cater to that as I work my way in closer and closer to the performer on multiple takes. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to tell a performer how to perform. This is me personally.
Hmm.
Other directors could totally direct differently. The only time I'm asking for something is if I want more energy, because that can happen. I like for there's absolutely times where people freeze up for the camera and you can just see that they're not in the music. And it's just the
I've
lens is reading that all day long, you know.
I've seen that too.
You've seen that
Where
exactly.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So, and I also don't want to make them self-conscious about that.
No.
So anytime they start to explore a little bit of movement and a little bit of energy, which we go balls to the wall on the energy thing, more than I don't expect everybody to jump around and move around as much as like
Yeah,
we're
but you
doing or
you have to nurture that when they start, because like
exactly.
there's a certain uh for previous instance I'm thinking of, but like when they start getting a little bit like, yeah, hey, oh,
That's
that
what I
looks
say.
great.
Yeah,
Looks
man.
great. Yeah, more of that.
That's
That's
it.
awesome.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm
Killing
not
it.
like that's me being genuine. Like I can see it in the
Yeah.
lens like, yeah, that's it, man. Like
Yeah.
we're getting it. I'm excited and
Because you're
they
right.
feel that and then we're starting to vibe together on it and we're both having confidence in what we're doing is growing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And then like
but
there's
or there's maybe a specific shot where we're trying to get something very very specific. Like I'm like, dude, I've got a macro lens on your fretting
on your
hand
hand.
or your
You
pick
need to
hand.
you
You
need to
cannot
play this
move, bro.
part right.
Yeah,
I
play
know
perfect.
I don't know your song, but I know you're on the higher strings, and that
Right.
thing you just did is not that.
It's not that. Don't move around because you'll be out of the lens or you'll be out of focus. There might be a specific,
Yeah.
but wide and large, the full takes are not that. That's for usually for a very specific part, or we're doing some trick shot, and it's just for a moment. In general, it's what we were just talking about.
One big takeaway that I learned, um, it was actually on the music video one of the music video shoot we did for the final song of Cue the Muses, which
Next
we're
year.
not allowed to talk about, but I
Next
will say
year.
that I learned that, and it's weird in the moment filming the performance. I've always felt or feel like it's a show. Like I'm at a show in a performance and I can't stop. And wardrobe and things happen. And I realized like it's okay to stop a couple seconds, get fix your hat back right,
That's right.
like get right and then go right back in. Like it's cool. Like and the
Yes.
first couple of times it happened, like I've muscled through it. Like a hat or something was funny, or I like was like, oh, that's gonna look dumb. Oh man, that sucks. Like just stop and fix it. Like it just didn't
Great
dawn on
point.
me, because it's like that's the inexperience from translating to live performance to you shooting a video.
Yeah. No, because the rest of the take is compromised now. So
Yeah.
for me, when I'm behind the camera, if that happens, it can be hard to, the way that we're doing it is we have a speaker that we're moving around and we're trying to play it as loud as we can get away with. So you're allowed to get into the music more. The softer that it is, the less the person moves. That's just a reality. So I want to
Yeah.
play it as loud as we can. That makes it a hard environment to like yell over certain directions. It's easy to hear, yeah, like you kind of get it. But it's
Mhm.
like, dude, put your thing back in your thing. Like it gets too complicated and then they get distracted. That can be challenging. So to already know that is a good point. Like just if something's out of whack on the wardrobe end or the guitar input came
Yeah.
out or something, go ahead and just fix it because the rest of the take is compromised until you do. Let's just forfeit the next 15 seconds. Let the song
Yeah.
keep rolling. Fix it. The rest of the take's good. If you don't do that or can't do that, if
It's
you're in the filming hat, if you're the person actually filming it, the trick with that is go ahead and get in a lot closer and try to avoid that part of whatever the malfunction is. So
yeah.
if their shoelaces are undone or something, get in closer, don't show their feet,
Yep.
or if the cable's out on the guitar or something and it looks fake, then get
High
in
shot.
closer and film,
Yeah.
you can go high, you can get right almost where the input of the guitar is, and you don't see the input because your camera view is coming from there, and you're avoiding the shot. So just try
Yeah.
and work the shot and finish the take. If the performer can't hear you or you've tried to correct them a couple of times and they still haven't caught on, that happens. You
Yeah.
try a couple of times, they
Yeah.
still don't hear it. It's okay. Just move the camera, get in there and
Yep.
finish out that take.
Because it's always you're losing more time if you stop altogether. If you stop
Yes.
stop the song and all, you're losing more time doing that. You're not getting a full take, and you're losing more if the director's inexperienced, who's filming is inexperienced, and like you pointed out, if they don't correct it, then you're losing more good takes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. So it is a blast, but it's also taxing as all hell physically. And I think,
Yeah.
when you're doing it on an independent level like we're doing, and like all the bands that I end up getting to do, the only way to do it at the budgets that we're doing it is the band participates in helping move stuff around. This gets
Mhm.
tricky because everyone gets hot and sweaty. You want your performers to look great. So that's where like doing it in the middle of summer is really challenging, and we've definitely done our share of it.
In
But
a
if it can be
leather
during the
jacket.
cooler, yeah, but the wardrobe, I want to wear this coat, and it's July, and we're filming in a no AC warehouse,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't know if the
Yeah.
trade-off is worth it. Um, but that you do want to think about that with scheduling your videos too. But it's physically taxing. It's long film days and all that. And this particular video coming out in the next episode was for me possibly the most physically taxing of all of them because I had hurt my back the day before and I had to perform for
Mhm.
the video
I
and it was
remember
our
that.
first shoot and we had more people and it was like I was just kind of getting my feet wet with what this project was going to kind of be like because I'm not used to doing an actual full production with other people where I'm also in front of the camera other than a couple. I mean, I've done a couple of Kill Clouseau, my old band's music videos, but even back then I didn't have the equipment, I didn't have the lighting, I didn't have all the stuff that I'm directing at this point for this. And we were also
Mhm.
doing acted scenes in this, so it was way more complicated than back then.
Yeah, we were
But
doing
that
it
was a
like
tough shoot.
we were like Mad Maxing it out there.
Yeah,
It was a
for
good
real.
time.
It was a lot of ground to cover across the entire property that we were filming on and moving that gear across. And
Was that
so,
a 2-day shoot or did we have it just for the
yes.
one day? It was a 2-day shoot. We
The
came
two-day
back on
shoot.
day 2. Yeah.
We
Okay.
almost didn't make it back the second day because of sunburn.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's a clue. There's some outside aspects to this shoot.
Spoiler alert, if we'd have had one woman out there with us on set, somebody would have told us, "Hey, you better put some sunscreen on."
Sunscreen on.
If
We didn't
one of
have
our
any
girlfriends
sunscreen,
had been
Dave.
there, we would have had sunscreen on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
man.
bunch of dummies having
That's
fun
crazy.
making the music video.
That's great.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, it's way later in the podcast. We're already at the end, but let's at least close it off this last thing. And I really wanted to talk about this at the beginning.
Uh-oh.
I had checked out your acoustic album,
Oh,
and it's great. Like you
thanks,
guys,
man.
Dick has an album out, and you can find it on Spotify. It's Atlas Project. I think it's actually you have to make it all one word.
It's all one word. It's all
That's
one word.
important to
Project.
point out, like to find it, because there is another Atlas project on Spotify, but that's not Dick. It's the one
Yep.
for it's all one word, and it's volume 1 is what you've put out so far, and it's like a 7-song EP,
Yep.
and it's got some really pretty stuff on there, man. And your singing's great on it. And there's some really,
Thanks.
yeah, dude. I was there's a lot on there that I really like. I like the groove that you were exploring on the. It's the second or third song. It was
Probably the
pretty
second
different. I think it's the second
second
one.
song. Second song's got
Yeah.
a cool groove. Yeah.
It was just a different thing that I'd never heard you play that style for, and I like that. I mean, there was good stuff all through it. You have a couple of guest singers on there, but the majority, I think, the first 5 songs of the 7 is you singing, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's the last 2.
The first 4 are me singing by myself. The fifth song is Kurt and I singing together. And
Okay, right,
the
right.
6th song is Tim singing a duet with himself.
Yeah, yeah,
Rabbit Hole, the name of that song. That
yeah.
I do want to quickly tell that story on that song
Sure.
if anyone's listening about it. That song was kind of an offshoot at the end of a long tracking session before Tim and I were in Dave's last night together, before he shipped off to Afghanistan for a year and a day or wherever he was marching in the desert with the army. He came down to my other house that I lived in down here before where I got this place and tracked his 3rd solo album with me. He does this once every couple years. He says, "Hey, I got too many songs. Can I come down and track?" And I said, "Yeah." He helped me get my truck down here, I think, followed me down here when I towed my Dodge down here. And after a long night of recording, like 15 songs, um, we cracked open a couple beer, I think, and we just started talking. I had that acoustic riff and he really liked it. And I was like, "Well, write something to it." So he did on the spot while I tracked the guitar. He's sitting behind me at the time I had the weight bench in the studio behind me, and he's writing lyrics down. And so I said, "Okay, let's do this." Take 1, sang it front to back. I said, "That was amazing. Let's do one more." Take 2, sang it front to back. That was amazing too. I don't know which one I like more. And I started listening to them, and then I listened to them together. And I said, "What the hell's going on?" And I panned them a little bit right and left.
Yeah,
And I was like, "That's it. That's it."
yeah,
The one take,
yeah.
dude, one time, each time I was like, it's crazy. He harmonized with himself perfectly on it's like,
Wow,
I
that's
never,
interesting.
yeah, just never experienced anything like that. It's, it's just a
And he
fun,
says a
fun
couple of
thing.
different words
It
between the
is.
2 takes. So in one
Yeah,
ear you're hearing
dude.
one word, and the other ear you're hearing the other word.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, obviously,
definitely,
I listen with my earbuds. That's how I
yeah,
listen
it's
to.
definitely a little bit improv because it was, like I said, the end of a
But it's
very
cool.
long
Like
night.
that's cool. Like
Yeah,
that still works. Like it's still completely comprehensive what is happening. It's still the same
yeah,
subject, and it's just he had already repeated that earlier in the song, so you've heard both versions, and now you hear them together. It all worked.
yeah,
Yeah, that's one of those magic zone areas. And this is Tim from Dave's Last Night, your current project that you're
yeah.
mixing the album for now, and you guys are. When are
Yep.
you aiming to have that album out?
So the way things always go, the original deadline was like July 26th,
I was
which is
going to make a joke for
it's just
July.
some time ago.
That's right. You guys were going to do a show and
Yeah,
release it,
yeah,
like
yeah.
with there was going to be a Fighting Giant show and all that too.
Well, we had a couple of things come up, and then right now I've got a couple different styles of edit, and
Mm,
so I'm kind of toying with with one style versus the other, or maybe splitting the two across the board. But I want more input. And what we're going to do is, since I have everything pretty much nailed the way I want it, and I've sent it to them for their critique, at their request, the rest of the band that's in Tallahassee, we want to all sit together in a room, dedicate an hour, and listen to them all together, and make our final opinions, notes, wishes, wants, whatever, and then I'll come back and implement it, and then we'll be done. So that
Delete.
retro delete,
Delete
too
all.
much. So that's gonna happen. If I'm up there, hopefully I'll be up there in 2 weeks, and that's when I can come see chapter 3 with you.
Okay, so yeah, when are you going to be here? Did you
Well, we
end up?
don't have to talk about it on the podcast.
Okay, all right.
Let's say, yeah, let's say it. But yeah,
Okay.
thanks for listening to the album, man. It's fun.
Yeah. It's on Spotify. Is it also on Amazon?
It's
And
everywhere I know of. I
okay.
distributed it through DistroKid, and
Does that include YouTube Music? Is that still a part of DistroKid too?
I think it is, and I don't think I did that.
Okay.
Because I have a couple of older, different versions of these songs as YouTube videos on my account. And oddly, I haven't gotten pinged. Like the one with Kurt and I have the older version where it had some uncorrected, it just wasn't fully edited, and I put it up anyways in my inexperience of 8 years ago, or however long ago it was, and it hasn't flagged it as content, conflict.
Okay.
But it might be because it's my YouTube channel too. But
Yeah, interesting.
yeah.
I did put, just so you know, at the end of the episode, I did put all the streaming platforms that you'll be able to find our new released song, because we're going to put all that out.
Yeah.
When and I put there, YouTube Music as a badge. Because I figure we're going to figure out how to get it on there too.
It's an option. When I'm up there with you, we'll discuss the dates after the podcast. But when I'm up there with you, that's what we'll do together. Because I'll log into my DistroKid account on your computer, and then I'll show you, and we can discuss everything and tally everything up. There's like some additional cost for some of the crap, but we're gonna run it, and we're gonna push this one, because guys who are still listening I don't have my glasses on here at the 1 hour and 3 minute mark.
Yeah.
Of the Cue the Muse podcast, episode 51. If you haven't picked up yet. Yeah. Chapter 3 will have the music video released first. Yes. So the brand new Cue the Muses track is going to be released in music video form very soon. And
with the previous 2 songs again, because we had taken them off of the audio streaming platforms.
I jumped back to the music video coming out, but yes,
it's all coming out together. I think we're going to try to put them all out on the same day if it's possible.
Yeah, if we're shooting for mid-October, we have enough time. We got to figure it out when I'm up there, because I like to give DistroKid at least 2 weeks, because some of the obscure streaming platforms take longer to get to than others.
I agree. And I got to make those little video loops to go with the for Spotify. I know that they play it. I would assume, actually, I haven't used YouTube Music, but I would assume it does it as well.
Amazon does. Amazon does not. Amazon Music.
Yeah.
But I usually listen to music in the car, and I don't want to be looking at something. That's why I looked at you like you're crazy when you're like, you don't watch the videos when you listen to podcasts. No, I'm driving.
It's like the podcast. Yeah. Well, that's different, because I'll also pull that up on my laptop that's next to me while I'm editing something.
Well, yeah, you're doing it while you're working.
Or it might be late night and I'm eating dinner and I'm not going to start anything. Like, I already have it going, so now I'm going to watch it while I'm listening to it and eating my little dinner. And
I just realized that I drive too much.
You drive a lot. That's the number one time for sure. Check out all that stuff.
Well, we'll end episode 51 on Ash making dinner and me driving too much.
Meat dinner. Guys, awesome. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, and hopefully I bet by next week we'll have a date picked out, I would think, of when we're going to put out the music video, because I need to make the teaser, and I got to put the date in the teaser.
Maybe We'll talk dates.
We'll talk dates after.
I won't. I will be up. I'll be in Tallahassee. Hopefully the week after next. So we'll see, guys.
Which is when I'll be in Orlando to see King Crimson.
Yes, you will at the end of that week.
That's right. At the end of the Friday.
All right, I'm closing out. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.